This is the scene. In a dimly lit room, a family sleeps. On one bed is a girl and her grandmother. On the floor is a boy using his loyal manservant as a mattress, an unsettling scene completed by the presence of a disembodied hand resting on the boy's chest. Everyone is asleep. All but one. A strikingly pale woman with long ebony tresses and lips painted in a deep sensuous shade of crimson sits upright in her bed. Her ethereal beauty seems to emanate from within. Her alabaster complexion contrasts her piercing dark eyes and meticulously arched eyebrows. Cradled on her lap is a slumbering man with a pencil-thin mustache. Delicately, she runs red-nailed fingers along his features before shifting her gaze to the rest of her family. With a determined resolve, the woman narrows her eyes, her decision firmly made. Stepping out of their motel room, Morticia Addams glides gracefully down the driveway, the hem of her dress undulating like tentacles in her wake. Her gown clings to her form, accentuating every curve as she moves with an enigmatic grace. When she reaches the Addams family mansion, the antagonists capture her and she finds herself bound with her hands over her head. Undaunted, she regards her captor with an unwavering gaze, her voice dripping with a blend of melancholy and conviction. "You're a desperate woman consumed by greed and bitterness," she says. "We could have been such friends." Welcome back to A Love Letter To, the show where I geek out about clothing in film, TV, and culture that just won't leave my brain. I'm your host, Danielle, and welcome to the first episode. In the vast landscape of pop culture, certain characters and their iconic wardrobes have transcended time, leaving an indelible mark on society. Today, in honor of the impending Halloween season, we're diving headfirst into the bewitching world of Morticia Addams and her slinky black dress. We're going to embark on a deep dive into Morticia's wardrobe, exploring its sinister allure, its cultural significance, and its lasting influence on fashion and culture. This episode is going to contain spoilers for the Addams Family movies, so if you haven't seen those movies yet, do watch them before coming back here. Enjoy the show! Since the cartoonist Charles Addams introduced the first Addams Family cartoon in 1938, the Addams Family has not only entertained with their creepy, kooky, mysterious, spooky, and altogether ooky ways, but also served as a boundless well of inspiration for innumerable Halloween costumes. The family made their on-screen debut in a live-action black-and-white TV series on ABC, running from 1964 to 1966, followed by an animated sitcom in 1973 and a made-for-television film in 1977. It wasn't until they graced the silver screen that we were introduced to the iconic appearances of Morticia and Wednesday, which continue to captivate us to this day. The family comprises a matriarch, Morticia, a patriarch, Gomez, and their two children, Wednesday and Pugsley, but extends beyond the core family. You've got Grandmama, Uncle Fester, the imposing butler Lurch, and their peculiar pet, Thing. In some ways, the Addams family is just another American family. In other ways, not so much. Thing, their beloved pet, is a hand, cut off at the wrist. Their family credo is Sic gorgiamus allo subjectatus nunc, or for those who don't know Latin, we gladly feast on those who would subdue us. In the television series, they lived in a gloomy mansion adjacent to a cemetery and a swamp located in an unspecified American town. Morticia as a character is a loving mother and a good wife, but she defies the conventional image of those things at the time with her dark and alluring persona and refuses to conform to the traditional roles assigned to women in the 1960s, the era when the television series was popular. At the heart of Morticia's iconic style is her slinky black dress. This form-fitting gown with its flowing fabric and low neckline is instantly recognizable. If you've seen the 1991 and the 1993 films, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The costumes for those movies were created by costume designer Ruth Myers, who based her sketches off of Charles Addams' cartoons from the 30s. But the whole look is not that far off from the gown that Morticia, played by Carolyn Jones in the 50s, wears. It's still the same long-sleeved, V-necked, figure-hugging gown that is so classically Morticia. But Morticia's dress is more than just clothing. It's a statement, a reflection of her character and her family's distinct identity, and it completely turned the idea of a housewife on its head. Think about the stereotypical image of a 1950s or 1960s housewife. During this era, the prevailing dress style was the button-down shirtwaist dress, a design initially created in the early 1900s to mimic the utilitarian features of men's shirts. Post-World War II, it gained popularity among women seeking a blend of elegance and practicality, often gracing the television screens through iconic figures like Lucille Ball in I Love Lucy. The shirtwaist dress typically featured a modest neckline, sleeves, and came adorned with lively prints like checks, stripes, tartans, plaid, gingham, and florals. Crafted from durable, easy-to-maintain fabrics such as cotton, some even sported white collars and cuffs reminiscent of the waitresses of the era. A typical shirtwaist dress, though not always, featured a front button closure like a shirt, cinched at the waist with delicate gathering, before gracefully flaring into a circular skirt that extends past the knee. Petticoats, contrary to popular belief, were reserved for special events rather than everyday wear. In fact, everyday wear in general shunned extravagance, saving it for special occasions. Morticia Addams and her slinky black dress stands in direct defiance of this stereotypical housewife look. There's black where there should be pastels, a low V-shaped neckline where there should be a modest collar, a figure-hugging silhouette that highlights the hips where there should be a fit and flare. Morticia's dress is a direct foil to the Stepford Wives look. It's an assertion of her individuality and a rejection of mainstream ideas about beauty. Morticia's slinky black dress also represents her unapologetic sensuality. This challenged the norms of the 1960s. From 1952 to 1983, the National Association of Broadcasters of the United States adopted the Code of Practices for Television Broadcasters, also known as the Television Code. This was a set of ethical standards which prohibited anything sexually suggestive on the air, and that included even the discussion of pregnancy since it implied that a couple, even a married one, had engaged in baby-making. So in an era when mainstream portrayals of women often adhered to conservative ideals of female sexuality, Morticia emerged as a groundbreaking figure. Her form-fitting, slinky black gown, the deep V neckline, and her confident demeanor were not only provocative but also empowering. Morticia Addams became an embodiment of defiance against traditional notions of beauty and femininity. Of course, I can't talk about Morticia's sensuality without mentioning her passionate and complex relationship with Gomez Addams, the patriarch in the Addams Family. In the opening scene of the Addams Family movie from 1991, there's a chiming clock, but what stands out is a unique detail. Instead of the usual cuckoo bird, there's a figurine of Gomez passionately kissing Morticia's handcrafted breast as the clock chimed. And I think that summarizes the Gomez and Morticia relationship really well. Their love was a vibrant canvas of unapologetic affection that brushed aside the staid, heteronormative portrayals of love and romance that dominated the 1960s. The chemistry between Morticia and Gomez wasn't just palpable, it was an inferno of ardor, celebrating a connection that transcended societal constraints and offering a truly progressive portrayal of love and desire.
Gomez.
Querida.
Last night you were unhinged. You were like some desperate, howling demon. You frightened me. Do it again.
In an era where television couples were often depicted in conventional roles with rigidly defined gender expectations, Morticia and Gomez shattered the mold. Gomez was enraptured by Morticia's dark beauty and intelligence, and she, in turn, was smitten by his unabashed adoration. Their love was eccentric, passionate, and filled with playful moments of affection. For instance, while other TV couples often had their romantic moments cut short, Morticia and Gomez reveled in their intimacy. Gomez frequently showered Morticia with roses, exotic dancers, and extravagant gestures, embodying an exuberant, almost Shakespearean style of courtship. Their connection was not confined to the privacy of their home. It was publicly and unashamedly on display. They set a precedent of love as an untamed, bewitching force, one that could exist without the confines of traditional gender roles and societal expectations. Morticia and Gomez served as a beacon of authenticity, urging viewers to embrace their love without reservation. This passionate, unconventional portrayal of love was a key component of the Addams family's charm, and it endures as an inspiration for those who seek to defy societal norms and celebrate their own unique bonds. When Charles Addams introduced the world to the Addams family, he embarked on a mission to turn the quintessential middle-class notion of an ideal family upside down. At first glance, this family appears to be just another household in the heart of American suburbia, a male breadwinner and a wife taking care of household chores and children. Yet, Charles Addams masterfully illuminates and satirizes the very essence of this conventional family ideal. On the surface, the Addams family's penchant for all things gothic and macabre might lead you to believe that they are genuinely scary beings. However, as we venture further into their peculiar world, it becomes abundantly clear that the Addams family epitomizes something remarkably distinct. They wholeheartedly embrace their uniqueness and discover the allure in the unconventional. What truly sets them apart is that their image doesn't necessarily match their actual nature. As a mother, Morticia is a source of unconditional love and support for her children, Wednesday and Pugsley. She encourages their unique interests and educates them about unconventional life values, fostering an environment where they can express themselves freely. Her parenting style may include activities that are seen as unusual, but her genuine care for her children is undeniable. In the 1991 film The Addams Family, for example, Wednesday is tasked with drawing her hero in a school exercise. While most children at the school draw conventional heroes like presidents or celebrities, Wednesday draws a picture of her own great-aunt Calpurnia, who was burned as a witch in 1706.
They say she danced naked in the town square and enslaved a minister.
Really?
Oh, yes. Don't worry. We've told Wednesday, college first.
By embracing Wednesday's choice of drawing Calpurnia as her hero, Morticia demonstrates that she cherishes her daughter's individuality and encourages her to be true to herself. Morticia's wisdom and nurturing nature guide her family through the challenges they face. She imparts life lessons and values in her own distinctive way, encouraging her children to embrace their peculiarities. Her non-judgmental approach fosters a loving and accepting family atmosphere where individuality is celebrated. Morticia Addams and her unconventional, elegant style continue to be celebrated and revered to this day. Her character has transcended time and generations, making her an enduring icon. She has inspired other femme fatale heroines like Vampira and Elvira. Plus, how many times have you seen Morticia in a Halloween costume? The long flowing dress, paired with her signature hairstyle and red lips, remains an iconic and timeless ensemble. And that's a wrap on this love letter to Morticia Addams and her slinky black dress. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode and on my birthday as well. I really appreciate that you're here listening to me geek out about clothes that I love and just can't stop thinking about. I'm Danielle, your host, and I can't wait to explore more iconic characters and their wardrobes in the episodes to come. Let me know which iconic clothes in film and pop culture you want me to dive into next. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, embrace your uniqueness, celebrate your individuality, and never be afraid to let your inner Morticia shine. Goodbye for now.